could take it literal. Like, for example, a friend dies in a car accident. They were a good person.
Yeah.
They just ended up dying. So somebody who ended up doing exactly what they had to do without question, but ended up dying out of nowhere.
Yeah. Okay. So what about opening the heavens then? I think you're kind of leaving that just implicit, but spell it out.
Means that like the second that does occur, it opens up. You're gonna ascend into heaven, into your righteous spot.
Yeah.
Is he alluding to Augustus right here?
Yes. But because Augustus isn't dead at this point, it's more about Augustus's adopted father, Julius Caesar, right, who got killed by the Senate, right? But Mariano is exactly right. He's talking about life after death. But we have to be very careful because the Roman conception of heaven and life after death is very, very different from ours. People go to the underworld to the extent that they live on.
I think a lot of military, or at least like a lot of maybe like mythological figures that and those were like military heroes, maybe like Hercules.
Yes.
They went to the Elysian Fields, so I think they're.
But the Elysian Fields are conceptualized as being underground.
Oh, okay.
So, but you're on exactly the right track because there is one thing that can happen, and then there's another thing that only ever happened to Julius Caesar so far. You can be made a constellation, right? So one of the standard ways in Hellenistic times to talk about what happened to great people is that they actually became stars. They became bunches of stars up there and they got immortalized that way, which didn't have anything to do with their kind of personal salvation or anything like that, or living on, because even those Romans who seemed to be convinced that you did go under the earth and you lived there for all eternity or whatever, didn't think that was really very fun. Whereas to the extent that we believe in heaven, we tend to think it's going to be a lot more fun than things are here. Okay, so that opens the heavens for those who do not deserve to die. So there's that general thing, which is that heroes can be made into constellations. There's this other thing, though, that has to do with Julius Caesar, because in the years following Julius Caesar's death, and as part of Augustus's kind of personal mythological cultural project, what did they do to Julius Caesar?
Well, they made him, he was the first person after Romulus to be deified.
Yeah, they make him Divus Julius Caesar, which is interesting because we saw Divus, remember, under, so one thing I want us always to be trying to find is wonderful double meanings in Horace, and there will be many, many more in Ovid, but they're there in Horace too. So remember that the Eques, the rider to be feared, spent his life under the Divus, that is what I was saying, the sky, because this was a standard way of talking about the sky under the divine, the open air. But I think that given we have this thing here, opens the heavens for those who do not deserve to die, I think that has to, at least in part, refer to Julius Caesar, and Julius Caesar is Divus Julius Caesar. So this whole thing, he must be talking in a more serious way about Julius Caesar and the meaning of Julius Caesar's apotheosis, deification, than it seems at first. Okay, takes manly goodness that opens the heavens for those who do not deserve to die, takes a road denied to others, and scorns the vulgar crowd and the bloodied earth on ascending wings. Okay, so we have a metaphor of rising up like a bird. The actual word here in Latin is pinna, which means feather. So it's on an ascending feather. And it's clear, I think, that the idea can be applied both to the constellations and maybe even more appropriately to Julius Caesar. And also worth saying that the talk about what they're going to do with Augustus after he's dead, how they're going to make him divine too, is already like all over the place, even while Augustus is alive. And towards the end of his reign, there is even a movement that calls him a god while he is still alive. Which contrasts in a really interesting way with the kind of humble style he tried to preserve, and we're going to talk a lot about that, because he wanted his domestic life to be kind of a model, a little bit like George Washington. And so he has this humble life, but all throughout the empire, less so in Rome itself, but in all the places where he's supposed to be the like ultimate authority, there are temples to him while he is still alive, which is kind of weird. But all right. And then, unexpectedly, we take a turn, which is a little bit like the turn we took in the first ode, towards a more inner way of looking at the issues that he's been covering. And there's a true reward for loyal silence. I forbid the man who divulged those secret rights of Ceres to exist beneath the same roof as I, or untie with me the fragile boat. Okay, so the rituals of Ceres, does this ring a bell for anybody?
Well, she's a fertility and harvest god, like similar to Demeter.
Demeter, yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out. I think probably blood sacrifice or like.
It wasn't blood sacrifice, but she had. There's a place called Eleusis, just north of Athens, which was a possession of Athens from a very, very early time, although once its own city. And she had a cult presence there and a set of mysteries, which thousands and thousands of people got initiated into.
It was castration, I think.
No, that's another. That's Cybele, but and they are associated. But Eleusis, there was no castration at Eleusis, unless that's the secret that everybody kept for so long. But this is, I mean, the funny thing about Eleusis is that we still don't know what the secret was, but that we're always told that certain people, and there's one in particular from Greek history, a guy named Alcibiades, that certain people did really, really bad things by revealing what the mystery was. Now, most people think that the reason we still don't know is that there really wasn't much of a mystery and that we actually already do know it. It's just that we don't know which part of what we know actually refers to the thing that they thought it was the mystery. But Horace is here referring both to people who divulge, who are like impious, who do sacrilegious things, and in particular to this guy, Alcibiades. Which is a little bit of an odd thing to do, except that he is clearly endorsing Augustus's kind of government over the very unstable, although in some ways incredibly important and inspiring Athenian model of democracy, which led eventually to Athens' downfall. And of course now Rome's in charge of Athens, so clearly the implication for a Roman would be that they had it better. Okay. So now untie with me the fragile boat. Boats are always fragile in the ancient world because a much greater percentage of people going seafaring died by drowning than died today. And still, we have it's not, in small boats on the ocean, it's not a very safe way to travel, even with navigational equipment. Okay, so Horace is saying is, I don't want an impious person with me, because often careless Jupiter included the innocent with the guilty, but lame-footed punishment rarely forgets the wicked man despite his start. Okay, so why is he saying he doesn't want somebody who is sacrilegious under the same roof as him, or out on the ocean with him?
Because if the gods strike that person down, he might just get caught in the crossfire.
Yes, right? Because often careless Jupiter included the innocent with the guilty. Like, so sees Alcibiades, bad man, and Horace, good man, in a boat out on the ocean, and decides, whatever, I just want that Alcibiades dead. Throws the lightning bolt, and they both die. What does this have to do with anything he's been talking about?
I think it's hard to understand that. But maybe just being with the wrong people at the wrong time.